Well,
Hey,
hello there,
there we
sir.
go. How's
How
it
are you?
going?
I'm good.
Good. The whole movement thing is stressing me the hell out, but other than that, I'm great.
I think everybody is stressed out. I really do. I think everybody is stressed out these days. I don't know of a single person that is not going through something. So, I feel your pain. I totally feel your pain.
Yeah, crazy. Jen, how's it going? Good to see you back. Brenda, how's it going?
Welcome, everybody.
Guys,
Thanks for
good to
joining
have
us.
you with us. As my esteemed colleague and partner normally says, we are simulcasting to two other networks. I will have the pleasure and honor of actually seeing all of your comments. Katie's going to try to, so in case I do miss, and I do miss, we get a lot of commentary, a lot of questions, a lot of passing of information, a lot of shared best practices. And we thank you guys for that. And it seemed like everyone seemed to enjoy the open format last week really well. So we're going to try to work in that, plus maybe a subject line or two. Oh, there's my wife to be. How's it going, Lord?
Welcome,
Um,
everybody.
yeah, welcome everybody. Nicole, good to see you. Looks a lot brighter in the background, right? Stephanie, good to see you. Joanne, good to see you. Jocelyn, good to see you. Stephanie again. Lori, hey. Tara, hey. Brent, Nikki, good to see you. You can't disappear on us anymore, damn it. You right? That's just the way it goes. Hey, and Chris, good to see you guys back.
Yes.
Um,
Remember, guys, we
I'm,
can't see you if you don't
hey, Penny,
comment. So you don't have to comment, but if
thank
you
you.
want us to know that you're there, shoot us something in the comments and we know you're there. Guys, you see me looking down again. As Richard said, I've got multiple screens going
Hey,
on. I'm not
Jane.
ignoring you. I'm not on TikTok. I'm trying to keep up with your comments. So please be patient. We've mentioned multiple times that it's very important. We try to get to all of your comments. However, sometimes we miss them. And as Richard mentioned earlier, this is open format tonight, but we do try to keep it to the subject matter. So don't be afraid to ask your questions. If you're too nervous to ask questions, don't be afraid to DM us because we can do that too. Okay. Just not during the show.
Yeah, Nikki said I went rogue for a bit. Nikki, you're not allowed to go rogue anymore. That's
We
the
missed
bottom
you,
line.
Nikki. We missed you.
That's right. Yeah, I'm wiped. We did an investigation last night, a last investigation at the Hamilton House.
Okay.
Oh, it was crazy. I have
Energetic.
never seen this place this active ever.
Wow.
Ever. We had people, we've had unfortunately people scratched. I had to sage 3 people. One person
Good
got
Lord.
jumped. Yeah, one person got jumped. Another one got attacked. He got scratched in his back 3 or 4 times. Um, it was actually our one of our kids, and that's always a rough thing when it's your kid. We had a great crowd out, but the audio and the video, and we've got pictures of apparitions, and I mean it's just off the hook. But it wiped me out, just
Wow.
absolutely wiped me out. It was crazy. Everybody came home and has the paranormal hangover that I know of.
Well, I'm dealing with my own hangover. I am dealing with a child's cold. So my daughter was sick this week. It's not COVID, thank God. But
Yeah,
now the
right.
rest of the family is suffering. And unfortunately, today was my day. So
Okay.
guys, if
Ellen?
I sound like I've smoked a pack of cigarettes, I promise you I haven't. However,
Just a
it may
half
sound
pack,
like that,
right?
right? Just a half pack, right? Yeah. No, so please be patient with me, guys.
Yeah, we're both kind of running on a half a cylinder right about now. We're trying our best, but bear with us. We're probably not going to have the energy we normally have, but we love you all, so we're here. um, that's the reason why we do it. Sydney, what's going on? Oh, you're definitely still feeling the paranormal hangover today. She is a soon-to-be daughter-in-law. She's actually was one of the people there last night. It was I honestly had not seen activity like that. It's been probably a good 10 or 15 years since I've seen activity that crazy. So, uh, nuts.
It's
But
a good night when you end up with a hangover the next day. That is, and I say good as in active night. I mean, not all those are good instances, but that's happening. And it's bad if you're dealing with that stuff, right?
Yeah. I mean, I had, we had the two boys here, and one of the boys' wife, Sydney, was here to spend the night last night. We all woke up super late because we're all just wasted, tired, just absolutely drained. And I've got
No
people that
problem,
have
Mickey.
often asked me, how do you combat that? And I think it's one of those kind of things where I do something called pre-medding. I do pre-med. I will take ibuprofen before I go on an investigation, and that will lessen the inflammation in your body. So you don't take as bad a beating as you would without it. I know some people are just absolutely against ibuprofen. That takes some naproxen sodium. Either way, I would definitely tell you to pre-med. The wake up the next day is not as harsh as it could have been if you
Right.
hadn't. So just kind of a thing. And then eat a good breakfast. That'll change your body's chemistry and energy around, and you get yourself going again. But it's a question I've gotten asked quite often, haven't you? I mean, what do you guys do about the paranormal hangover?
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, it's really good to take, I mean, no matter what you do, any type of, letting out of energy. So, whether you're an athlete or you're a musician or you're a paranormal investigator, it's really important that you're taking care of your body through the process, because that is also an instrument. So, taking your vitamins, eating properly, sleeping properly, all of those things are really good things to do and practices, principles to have before you walk into an investigation, because you are projecting energy out and they are absorbing it, right? So if you're not on your game, for example, for me tonight, would not be the best idea for me to go to an investigation, simply because, if I'm doing that, then I'm putting myself, becoming more vulnerable, because my body's already fighting something. So it's really important to listen to your body, know what it's telling you before you decide to go into the investigation, but be prepared. You may feel like you drank in Canada, we call it a 26er, but you drink a lot of booze and you have this hangover the next day, and you're not feeling it the best. So, not all paranormal hangovers are bad. It just means that you've really unbalanced your energy. And it's important that you do the post care as well. If that means cleansing, if that means eating properly, if that means drinking plenty of water, taking your vitamins even after the investigation, that's just as important.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we had one of the boys. We had him do a salt bath before we
Yep.
came home last night. He was attacked. I mean, he got beat up pretty good. He actually got knocked to his butt, and it was seen by one of my investigators. Saw a shadow figure literally bum rush him in the hallway, dig low like a football player, and hit him below the hip area and take him to the ground. The investigator saw it happen. And this poor kid, I mean, he stuck to it. He tried his best, but it got the best of him. He needed to stay outside because there was just so much.
Yeah,
But it's one of those kind of things you just got to be really careful. And
absolutely.
Joanne, so Joanne's the question I would like to have you answer, because you're better about the past lives and dream stuff than I think I am. She said, question, when I dream, how do I know I'm not visiting on a different realm of my previous life or just a dream?
That's a great question, Joanne. So, dream state. As we talked about previously, and I'll go over it again, when you're in a dream state, your subconsciousness is not in judgment mode, it's open. So therefore, you're basically allowing yourself to open up to potential possibilities, realms, dimensions, and the other side. I find that when I have messages in a dream, when I have messages in a dreamlike state, or I'm having visitations, it's very vivid. It feels very real, to the point where I always dream in color, but a lot of people don't. So for me, it's certainly in color. I wake up not necessarily feeling tired, but I feel like I have been, I have communicated with somebody, and it makes sense. So sometimes you wake up with questions, but I find that dreams are, when I'm dreaming, I find that it's not clear from going from one room to another, or from one conversation to another, or it's not clear as to who I'm speaking with. But when I have visitations, or I'm visiting the other side, visiting other realms, it's very clear, like I said, vivid. And you know the step-by-step procedures as you're getting there. So, if I was in your position, I would certainly write it down. It's important to journal your dreams. It's important to to make sure that you're not necessarily holding on to them to try to remember. And when you're journaling them, journal them quickly. So you ever have a dream during the day and then by the mid-afternoon you don't remember it, or you remember when you first wake up but you're not remembering 15 minutes later? So have a recorder at your bedside, or have like a piece of paper, journal, something that you can write it down and forget about it, because it may not make sense to you. It may be vivid, it may have messages, but you don't understand the messages. And this is where you really want to make sure that you're writing this stuff down, because it will make sense when it's supposed to.
Right. And it's funny because that question was brought up. Sydney, the young lady that's on here too, I say it's going to be my daughter-in-law someday. She and I were talking about her dreams last night were a lot more vivid after
Yes.
the investigation. Like that's not a dream per se. That's a very direct contact point. But those dreams like that are very vivid are more visitations, I believe. But the thing of it is that'll happen after a very dramatic. I mean, I had to sage her too. She had gotten so lit up with energy in the building, it just was following her around. It was dragging her down. It was like I said, it was an absolutely wild night last night. But yeah, I mean, you have a very, I call them a traumatic paranormal experience, and yeah, your brain is going to be a lot more open now. So you're going to have those sincerely vivid visitations and or dreams. I mean, to me, if it's a repeated message, almost like a repeated dream, that's a message. And the visitation, that's not a dream. So those are the kind of things you got to look for in that too.
Yes. No, Joanne had mentioned as well about past lives, and past lives are really, yes, you can absolutely have a memory of a past life. You can absolutely have, going into that realm, or having those past memories. Again, journal. Take into consideration where you are, what you're doing. If you're wearing a pair of Jordans and you're walking around in the 18th century, chances are it's not a past life. But a lot of these things, it's important that if you're having a lucid dream, in other words, you're dreaming, if you know you're in the dream, or you're questioning yourself in the dream, then try to find a place, whether it be a window front, a mirror, a reflection in some water in the dream, to see what you look like and go from there. Because
really cool.
your reflection is going to tell you a lot.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a really cool point. I hadn't really thought about that. That's good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, when we were talking about, the whole thing with ibuprofen and all that, and then Nicole said drink water during. Yeah, you're right. You do. But I would also tell you, as a former EMT, that you also are going to want to have some Coca-Cola or some Pepsi, because if somebody has a rough experience, they're going to go into shock, and sugar will bring them out of the shock. So I will tell you, yes, have a cooler full of waters, but also ensure you've got some Cokes or something with a high sugar drink to be able to bring them out of a traumatic experience. That does help a lot. So, and then Nikki brought up a point too, you and I have brought up so many times. I honestly swear by going back to the water. And you're right. After you have a very serious investigation, I wish we had the ability to have done this last night. We did. By the time we got done and got back, it was like, but yeah, go find some running water. Go take your socks and shoes off and go stand on the ground and be right near the running water. Let that high vibrational energy straighten you out, because
Absolutely.
It will. And we have talked about this quite often on the show. And Nikki, thank you for bringing that up. Okay. I mean, that is a conduit to high energy. So it does help a ton. Chris said, I only need 2 to 4 hours of sleep, and that's daily, not just on investigations. No, I'm old. I need more than that.
Wow. I want to know what you're doing or what you're eating, because I would love to do that. I can't function with anything less than 8 hours. Mama needs at least 8 hours sleep to function on a daily basis.
And then Lindsay said, Stephanie has been saying, I'll go to the gym lifting heavy 7 days in a row. Gonna go late tonight or early in the morning, and my body is screaming. Yeah, you probably is your body telling you to stop or slow down. And it does that too with paranormal energy too. Your body will give you that warning flag of, hey, you need to step away. You need to kind of pull off of what you're doing. because again, like I do on my events, I will take breaks. We will step out of the building. Especially last night, we will step out of the building and separate ourselves from it. Now, Jen asks, is it a good idea to cleanse before or after ghost hunting, or both?
Both.
Yeah.
If you choose to do
No.
both, and it's really circumstantial. It's very circumstantial, Jen. It
Very
depends on the location you're
circumstantial.
going to. It depends if you are comfortable with it. It depends on, what are the alleged problems at this place. I would really there are some investigations that I don't go straight to and I don't come straight home from, simply because I don't need things following me home. So, the same circumstance, it happens for any investigation. If your gut feeling is telling you I should cleanse before I go into this location, then by all means do it. Okay. If you want to cleanse when you leave, then by all means do that too. Do you think, Richard, it's necessary to cleanse through every investigation in terms of yourself? I don't mean necessarily the location. I'm the same way. If I don't feel like I need it, I go with my gut.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to, as a person in the investment, I had made this mistake one time. I had the kids and Lori and I were at this place called Oakwood Cemetery in Atlanta. Whoa. Very active location. And we went in there and I had to say to everybody when they came out, had to. Well, of course I didn't think of myself. Right. So thankfully 3 or 4 days later, Lori had to sage me to be able to get, my attachment off me. And that helped a ton. And I was a new man the next day. But you gotta look at how much exposure, and I've talked about this time and time again as well, exposure. How much exposure are you taking? People that run venues every weekend, they have people there every weekend in this venue. They're there with them. They're exposing themselves. You're going to be susceptible to a lot of things. You know what I mean? And then Billy Sims, he gets involved with a lot of locations too. He and his wife and Lori and I are going to investigate a place called Octagon Hall. Octagon Hall in Kentucky is probably one of the most active places I've been to before as well. We're going to have a good time today, but I'm going in prepared. That much I can tell you.
Yeah.
Now, Nikki says, can continued repeat of dreams create the same level of exhaustion? Of dreams. I'm not sure what word you meant to put there, Nikki, but I've had paranormal hangovers. Yeah. I've had paranormal hangovers, but the repeats I've dreams seems so different, like a mental drain or excitation. Okay.
So if you're talking about repetitive dreams, if you're talking about the same dream over and over and over again, yes, it can have some sort of it can have some sort of a message. It can be an attachment. It can be trying to break you down. A lot of times attachments enter the subconscious because they can't get you on a physical level. So what it's doing is it's slowly becoming a parasite, and it's slowly attaching through your dream state because that's how it can attack you. So yeah, I would encourage you, cleanse. Don't be afraid if you're starting to have these repetitive nightmares or dreams or bad juju, you're waking up with scratches and bruises after you've dreamed. I would, put some selenite by your bedside, tourmaline, obsidian, those types of things that can kind of cleanse the area. Don't be afraid to put a salt lamp on. Now, I always say safety disclaimer. I've got lots of salt lamps, but I've tested them. I would never suggest somebody leave it on all day when you're not home. But, if you want to put it on when you're sleeping type thing, you could do that. Quickly, now, Joshua had asked, about, I think it was Josh, or it was Johnny. Johnny, he said, evening, guys. What is the topic tonight? So tonight we're having an open mic night. We're having open questions. If you have any general questions about paranormal or mediumship, psychic mediumship, don't hesitate to ask. If we can answer it for you, we will. Billy.
Yeah, we typically have topical conversations. The problem with it is it always has a tendency to kind of lean in a different direction during the course of the show. Mm-hmm. So we always will wind up in the same mixed format we're in now. Our viewers will bring up a subject matter, we'll discuss it, we'll move on to another subject. And it kind of answers a lot of questions for a lot of people without them having to go, hey guys, maybe next time we could talk about this. This gives us the opportunity now to engage you with whatever questions you have on whatever subject matter you want to talk about with the paranormal, and we get to it. I'm actually digging this new idea of this, but hey, why not? I will tell you guys, for those of you who were out on the investigation last night, the equipment that I picked up that I talked about on the last show. Ooh. Yeah. If anyone's interested in that equipment, you need to let me know because I'll get you the link. It was probably one of the craziest nights, and the equipment was on point. I mean, just on point. And again, this is all stuff I'm getting for less than $20 a person, $20 a pop. So yeah, if you need equipment, you need to reach out and let me know. I'll help you out with getting equipment from this guy. Yeah. I had that little plasma Tesla coil.
Yep.
They literally were hitting it so much last night, personally touching it last night, that it burned out a couple of the diodes on the device at the bottom that aren't going to light now because they're constantly, the spirits were constantly playing with it. It was insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. It's like you just got to keep on getting yourselves a few of those because, you toss them out, move on to another one for $15.
Right. Yeah. Now, Jocelyn had asked, what about just plain saucer with table salt? You know what? That works fantastic. Fantastic. My only stipulation when talking about salt and having salt baths and cleansings and stuff is Epsom salts. Epsom salts are not necessarily the same thing as, your basic table salt, Himalayan salt, black salt, sea salt. I always tell people up here in Canada, we even have salt on our roads. And so I'll tell people, I don't care if you want to use road salt. But basically, you just want to make sure that it's a sodium nature and that you're able to use a cleansing. Not only does it cleanse, but it absorbs. So if you want to put salt at your bedside, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's a great idea. If you don't have a salt lamp, that's a great alternative. You could make salt sprays where you mix salt and water. You can use holy water and salt, those types of things. If you feel you want to, have a protected space, you can do that too. We talk a lot about cleansings and we talk a lot about, burning sage and burning Palo Santo and different types of things. But there are some people who unfortunately live in apartment buildings or have hardwired, fire stuff that they, the water will, you'll start the sprinkler system if you light, a candle or flame. So there are sprays that you can make. There's things that you can get that can work just as well as burning those things. And you can use those for cleansings too. So if you're, you don't necessarily have to light some Palo Santo to cleanse yourself before an investigation. You can use sprays. There's many different forms. It's just on how you want to utilize them.
Right. Now, Nikki brings up a good point. I've seen Michael. This a lot in investigations and certain people. I feel that there we go. I feel like taking too many energy drinks before an investigation does nothing but set me into a major squirrel mode. I think finding a balance is key. Let me just kind of break it down for you. When you have those energy drinks, a lot of them are just loaded with caffeine. Now, what happens with caffeine is it increases your blood pressure, increases your heart rate, and all you're doing is just giving out thermal heat. You know what lives off thermal heat? Entities. So, you become a buffet for that kind of stuff. And then to me, I never did them anyway because I was always afraid of the crash.
Yep.
Not for me. Not at all. But, go ahead if you're in for some of those. Now, Chris said, Richard, I'm 50, but 25 years in military and training with testing with sleep deprivation. Honestly, back in the day with sleep deprivation, I got you. I just don't. My body just says, hey, I want more. So I give it more.
That's my problem.
Yeah. I can operate with 4 or 5 hours worth of sleep. Do I want to? No.
That's me too. To get a full night's sleep.
Yeah. So I don't. I was raised by a career Marine, so I'm used to getting up early and going to bed early, but that was years ago, decades ago. So yeah, I'm kind of going with a kinder, gentler nation with my sleep pattern nowadays. Just to kind of put that out there. I tend not to think of myself as what Joshua says. Kelly says, "Hey, I'm from the UK. Welcome, Kelly. Welcome to the show."
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
All right. Brent McClone says, "Hey, Courtney." Courtney says, "Hey, Joshua." Nick, sorry, I tried to edit that. Don't worry about it, Nick. We figure it out. We'll read around it. Don't worry about it.
We
As long as you aren't cussing me out. All right. So then Billy Sims says, "Richard, we spent last night at you know where, and I got the most heartwarming hello in the green room." I felt the love in that greeting and almost brought me to tears. Yeah, man, dude. It's, you can go out to a building. This is why I know Katie and I have repeatedly said, go back to the same location. Go back more than once. Establish a rapport. Groom the place with your team. Groom it. You can groom it to a point where, as what happened with Billy, I had that happen to me with the right hotel. I came in 3 times back to back, 1 month to do tours. I got a welcome from Kate Wright. And then the second time I got a welcome back. And the third time, Class A, I got a welcome home. Now that does warm your heart. I mean, dude, I'm with you on that. That'll just kind of make you feel like what you're doing is worthwhile. That lets you know you're doing the right thing with the spirit activity. That just lets you know you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
But good for you, man. I appreciate the fact you had that kind of contact, because that's awesome stuff. But guys, you got to do that. You got to go back. Go back to the same location multiple times. Get to know more about the landscape of the activity. Get to know more about the characters in the building. Or wherever area you're at, whatever space you in, get to know more about them. Talk to them as if they were still alive, because I'm going to tell you, they'll conversate with you as if they were. I've had it happen time and time again. I asked once at the Hamilton House, I said, "Is there anything that you can tell us or to help us live a better life?" That's not a typical EVP question, but I said it. The answer I got back was, "Just live it. Just live it."
Wow.
That is not a typical EVP response.
No, that's fantastic.
But you can get that kind of stuff. It depends upon, again, and Katie and I preach this, your intent and how many times you come into that situation. If you come into it and treat them like friends, they're going to be friends. Most of the time, you're going to hit the right mark. You don't. If you come into it for one time thrill, don't expect a lot out of it you're ever going to understand.
And I always tell people, the more specific the question, usually more specific the answer. If there's something you want to know, just ask. If you can ask that question, you're going to get the answer from it. So, and building the rapport and having respect for those entities, having respect for it. Now, not every question is going to get a good answer, and not every question is going to get an answer. However, if you're able to, get that rapport with that entity and start, building that respect, you're going to get better answers. I'm telling you. And not only are you going to get better EVPs, better answers, but you're going to get better results on your equipment. And that goes for every single time. Now, there are hot and cold moments. In other words, there are moments of where you're not going to get a lot, and that's not necessarily them not want to communicate with you. It could be the temperature, it could be the energy in the building, it can be they exhausted themselves, it could be like there's a lot of circumstantial moments that they're not going to be able to do and have the expectations that you want them to have. But that doesn't mean you give up and you don't keep trying, right?
Right. You're right. Christy, Albert Mercer. Christy, welcome to the show. I think this is your first time in. If not, welcome back. What types of paranormal entities have you had experience with? All spirits, angels, aliens? Yes. There's really, as psychic mediums, I'm not speaking for Katie, but as psychic mediums, there isn't anything we haven't encountered, I don't think. Elementals, aliens.
I've never had lunch with Bigfoot. I'll tell you that right now. I've never had lunch with Bigfoot.
He's a loud mouth. He growls when he eats. It's not cool. It's just not cool.
Never.
And he's got big feet, and he has an odor. And I'm just, I think I've known him long enough now that I could look at him and go, hey, jump in the stream once in a while. All right, buddy? I mean, it's kind of one of those things.
Right?
But I mean, to answer your question honestly, yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything left on the table for me to have to pick up and go, hey, I've never seen this before. We do. We see everything. Now you will see also too, just to kind of make it clear, you'll see facets of classifications as well. Elementals, there's different facets to that labeling. So yeah, you've got to have experience. I mean, I've been in it 26 years. Katie's, she's been in since she was born, so that's like, 17. And then trying to help you, girl.
Yeah.
But with the experience level we're at, and again too, you talk about a specific item, angels. All right, so there's again some labeling there that kind of fits a faith-based belief. I'm not discounting that. I was a minister for almost 8 years, so I fully understand that concept. But there are things like, for example, harbinger angels. I call them guardians. Okay, they're the same exact type of entity. They will do things to kind of let you know, hey, your child's on the stairs. They may knock a painting off or a picture off on a stairwell. They may make a smoke detector go off if your child's going near an oven. They will do things to kind of help you, and that's what is considered to me a harbinger angel or a guardian. I run into a lot of that type of spirit. They usually wind up turning out, most oftentimes, being a very maternal person. And they just wanted to protect the kids. I've had one point blank tell me they don't like what the kids watch on TV. So they have that full job that they are trying to look out for the family. So there's everything out there. But I think we just have to be open-minded about it all. Okay, let's see. Ways Muhammad, greetings. Let's see, Christy. Yeah, here we go, Christy. Have you visited places where it's not safe to go back? Yes. Now, that depends on your level of safe. Would I consider, and I want Katie to answer this because she's got things on her side of the globe that I would like for her to bring up in this. For example, I have a location that, yeah, you can go back, but the chances of you coming out of there with an attachment are pretty damn high. So I'd rather not. It's a matter of personal choice. I mean, do it for the thrill? Hell yeah. But I'm not 22 anymore. I don't feel like coming home with luggage. So I'm not going to. I can survive it, but it's a pain in the rear end to clear it up. So I don't. But would I go back into it to help somebody out? Yeah, that's just the way we are. Would I go into it for fun or for myself? Hell no. No. What about you, Kitty?
Depending on the circumstance. So if a family calls me in and they're having really bad issues on a private residence, yeah, I'm going to go back as many times as necessary to have to go in and cleanse what I have to do. If it's for fun, no, there's certain places that I will check out. I am not interested in going back, because it's a brute for punishment. What people don't realize is sometimes a dog has a bigger bark than bite. And then there's the dogs with no expression that you don't know what they're going to do. The same thing goes for investigations. Sometimes, when you're seeing the door slamming, things being thrown, that's not necessarily an evil spirit. That's just a possessive spirit that doesn't want you there and is trying to intimidate you. It's the silent ones. It's the ones that you don't see coming. It's the ones that affect you 4 days after your investigation. They can be the dangerous ones. So immediately we go to television and we start to talk about these bad Nightmare on Elm Street kind of incidences, and it has nothing to do with that. It comes down to how you feel after the investigation, what was done to you. If you are marked, you are marked. There are some people that have never been able to get rid of an attachment. They can only debilitate that attachment enough that it doesn't affect them anymore, but the attachment's always there. I know a couple demonologists that I'm telling you, almost every demonologist that I know have had some sort of cardiac arrest or near-death experience, and you can't tell me that is not as a result of what they do as their day job in terms of demonology. Sometimes it's a long-term effect. I know a lot of energy workers. As some of you know, I got very sick with COVID last year. sicker than most. And I'm part of me believes that, you know, there was more to this. And a lot of energy workers I've communicated with say the same thing, that they got ailments or sicknesses that were not necessarily normal or affect them normally. And it's a form of spiritual warfare.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, for example, we talk about demonologists having heart attacks. Jeremy Leonard, friend of mine, has been a special co-host on this show when Katie was ill a couple of times. Pretty strong demonologist. Guess what? Had a heart attack.
Yep. Our friend
A
Rich
massive
Valdez,
one.
Rich Valdez, demonologist. He was on the show. Rich ended up in the hospital, almost died. You know, a colleague on Paranormal Survivor of mine, Michelle DeRoche, she's had multiple issues. I have another colleague that was on Paranormal Survivor with me that is, rest in peace, she's not with us anymore. So, you know, there's a lot of energy workers that get affected, and it's not what television promotes necessarily in terms of jumping out at you and screaming. You know, it's a long, slow burn. And when that long, slow burn happens, it waits till you are not able to fight it. And then it takes over.
It does. And, you know, and again, too, and I hated that friends and people that we know and colleagues that we've worked with have suffered that. But it's their choice to do what they're doing. It's just like we said earlier. I choose not to go into the nasty places. I choose not to. For my own sanctity, my own safety, my team's safety. I don't want anyone coming out with baggage they didn't go in there with. I don't want anyone to take a chance on their own health, mental or physical. So you choose to make those decisions. Now, being a demonologist, that means you're not going to go into some place that's extremely benign. That's not your job. That's not what you trained for. You trained to go into the nasty places and the nasty situations. So with that, and we've talked about this portion as well, again, same with psychic mediums. You give your piece of yourself away.
Agreed.
Every time you do a reading or you read an investigation, you're giving away a portion of yourself. You're exposing a portion of yourself that you're not going to get back. You're not.
Agreed.
I've just over the years have learned not to give away what I don't want to give away. So I will choose a more benign path. Last night's adventure. Go ahead.
No, I said absolutely agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. Last night's adventure keyed me into how ugly it could be for some people. And yeah, I mean, I'm thankful I was able to get these guys straightened out, get them cleansed, you know, get the one kid of ours into a salt bath and get him straightened out. But it could have gotten worse. He had been scratched 4 times in 4 different places. He was being bullied and then getting tackled, literally witnessed being tackled by an entity in a building.
Now,
it was time for him to go.
Yeah, there was a question earlier. I'm not sure what the question was. Somebody had asked, oh, Tara, can you see attachments like in an aura maybe? So that answers that question, Tara. Yeah. Absolutely, you can. Attachments can come in many different forms. I've had entities make bugs appear. And I'm telling you, I've been tested. I'm good. Literally witnessed bugs appearing to intimidate the person that had the attachment. Every time the person, you know, was getting kind of self-righteous and saying like, I'm not going to put up with this anymore, this entity would make these bugs appear on this bed, just crawl out of nowhere, and she would get scared and she'd say, I don't think I can do this anymore. And then I'd say, no, you have to be able to fight this, and so on. And it was an internal struggle. They can show up in the forms of darkening in auras, muddy auras, dark shadow figures. They can show up in, you know, many different forms. They can show up in hot and cold spots. They can show up in images in a photograph or a video. There's many different forms that can occur. It's not just necessarily an aura, but yes, they can be picked up in auras, if that answers your question.
Yes. And the thing is, I will tell you, if you're not able to read auras, okay, and you have a team and you're out investigating, watch everybody's behavior. Because behavior will tell you everything. If they go through the investigation and their attitude, their behavior, their mentality changes, watch for those signs. Because I want to kind of segue into this statement or question that Nikki brought up. I wonder if we could talk about learning to listen to your own body and the symptoms that it presents during certain investigations. Also, false signs secondary to group hysteria. Sorry if I'm loading you guys with questions. That's what we ask you
Oh,
to do. So don't worry
fantastic. I
about that.
think this is good. Never.
Yeah, and it's right. But the one thing I will tell you, as far as my trucker answer, and then I'll let my more eloquent colleague give you that version of it that makes more sense, maybe. To someone who might be a little more book learned. If you don't listen to your body fully, it's not going to do any good to listen to it once in a while. If you don't put yourself in a position where you are the best paranormal detection system you got in your hands, it's not going to do you any good. And if you don't learn how to restrain group hysteria, it'll run rampant. If you got somebody that kind of goes off the deep end, and then you got another one following suit, I'll tell you what I've done it. I've done it probably about 20 times. I just yell, stop. Everybody kind of looks at you like, what? Stop. What are we doing? Let's take a look at what we're doing. So you put the brakes on it, and group hysteria is going to stop because it'll follow suit like a domino effect. Mm-hmm. And everybody will start getting all antsy and crazy. And the only person enjoying that's the spirit. The entity in the building is the only one enjoying that. So you've got to learn how to reel it in. Groups are tough. I mean, 26 years, I've run 3 groups that I've had as a founder. I think I finally have found the right team now, but it's only taken 26 years. So yeah, the group hysteria thing is a big deal. But as far as people listening to their bodies, if they trusted their bodies enough and not the equipment, I talk about equipment. It's great. But you're going to have somebody, my theory, my thought on it is, you got to have somebody on the team that is this willing without equipment to sit down and shut up, chill out, be the designated investigator who's the quiet person without the equipment. Excuse me, without the equipment. Let that person be the one who picks up on the energy in the room, picks up on what might be going on around you. It's a novel idea because everybody wants to grab a piece of equipment. We do, but that distracts you from what your body's telling you. So that would be my recommendation. If you have a group of people investigating, make one person, even if it's just for that one particular floor or 3-4 building, trade that person out. Make that one person, the plain hamburger in the entire room. Just let them be by themselves without equipment in the group. I'm telling you, you will be surprised how many people come in and it shock you about stuff they pick up on without equipment. It's utterly amazing. Utterly amazing. And you're not throwing too many questions. You're not throwing enough. How about that?
And let's break that down even more. Let's break that down to the symptoms. So there's many different forms that you can have of symptoms. You know, when you walk into a building, how do you feel? Any location, it doesn't even have to be a building, even outside, cemetery or haunted lots, land, whatever it is. What does your body feel at that moment? Do you feel a moment of feeling sick? Are you getting head pressure, headaches, hot, cold, pressure on your chest, pressure on your shoulders? What are you feeling? And it's important to pay attention to the body without questioning it. When you get, if you're nervous about something, it's important to determine whether you're reacting to something or if your body is picking up on something. So there's different things that you can get. Sometimes you get ringing in your ears. Sometimes you get flashes in your eyes. Sometimes you get headaches or feeling as if you're being tapped. There's many different symptoms and signs that your body's going to tell you when it's picking up. Your hair standing up on end, getting physical pain somewhere. If you're starting to get tightness in your chest, or you're starting to get a pain in your leg, or you're starting to document that stuff. Remember that stuff. Write it down. You may not find until after, if you some of us don't have historians on our team. Myself, I have a historian on my team who does a lot of the background work. But if you don't know what you're walking into, how can you justify that it's paranormal if it's something happening to you? So, just by coincidence, if you're, getting pain in your leg and you're dealing with something, you find it was an amputee or somebody had, their leg removed, you're kind of correlating that evidence. So you may be picking up an apparition, a shadow figure, and you're only seeing one leg. Well, why is that occurring? Right? So it's really important to not only listen to the equipment, but listen to your body.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, I would probably take the people on your team for what I was saying earlier, and then pick the people who you feel are most sensitive
Mhm.
and let them be your designated paranormal investigators
Mhm.
without the equipment. The one thing, too, that I've noticed over the years, when you have an entity that I think is trying to get a little too close, okay, you will feel pressure and or an awkward feeling of even like a dull pain in your solar plexus.
Yeah.
That's your energy center. Okay, so if you feel like somebody's taking a fist and kind of pushing it in on your solar plexus, guess what? That's an entity trying to enter into your energy system. So you need to really take a look at that and kind of realize, hey, we need to kind of move on.
Yeah.
And then I want to kind of roll right into her second question. She says, dealing with a stall or a total lockout during the investigation when you can't seem to feel a darn thing or feel locked out. Have you experienced that? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to remember that paranormal energy is cyclical. It just comes and goes. Um, Best thing I've ever seen to have happen to be able to straighten that out, step outside, get some fresh air, come back in and come in rejuvenated. It not only make you more sensitive to what's going on, may give the energy a chance to be able to come back around for you. What do you think, Katie?
And yes, 100% agreed. But there are times, I'll tell you something. I never understood the difference between not being sensitive and being
Seven.
sensitive because I've been sensitive my whole life. Until
Right.
one incident. I had gone to a location, private residence. The woman was having issues with this entity, female entity, haunting the children. And these children were absolutely terrified. Okay. And what they could describe to me was a witch-like woman, looking like woman. Okay. So I go in with an open mind. I don't know a lot about it, but I'm getting these feelings when I walk in the house, and all of a sudden it stops. Absolutely everything stops. There's no feeling. I'm not picking up on anything psychic. And I panicked. I never felt like that before. And for the first time in my life, I know what somebody who doesn't use their sensitivities or are not acknowledging their sensitivities feels like. And I felt very vulnerable. I didn't feel good about it. And I know that it was that entity kind of sucking the life out of me, or the energy out of me, and not allowing me to see anything. So that made me feel uncomfortable. But there's been other instances where you walk into a haunted location and you get nothing. No EMF hits, nothing, like there's nothing being picked up. That doesn't happen. So you know that something else is going on, and they're either, building up to something bigger, or they're trying to hide from you. I
Yeah.
encourage you that if you're in any of those instances, you go back, as Richard said, step out and go back. If you have to leave the residence or the location, leave it. If you have to come back an hour later, or perhaps a day later, a week later, go multiple times, because you're going to get different results.
Right. Jocelyn Farrell said, have you ever confronted aggressive spirit with aggression? No. No.
No,
Not aggression. I
yeah.
mean, I have been direct. I've been direct. Now, will I go around and threaten a ghost's ass? I'll whip your ass? No. No.
No.
No. Because energy breeds energy. Okay. So if you go into this and you drop down to that low level vibrational energy where you start getting aggressive and angry and start threatening crap, and you go into provocation, yada, 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 you're going to get some really bad results. Okay. But I had an investigator years ago who got pushed onto a bed from an entity in a building. She came out of the hallway. The entity was following her. He broke off. I could see the shadow following right behind her. He broke off. Everybody exited the building. I went, oh, no, hell no. No, we're not going this way. I grabbed the cameraman, who is now scared, forget my language, shitless, because now he's got to go back in the building with me, already pissed off. It was my ex-wife. So we go up to the building on the third floor where this happened, where she was basically attacked. And I just went off like a husband. What makes you think you have the right? And I went on like I would talk to a living man. I didn't threaten. I just admonished. And I literally 3 times in a row got a class A, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
3 times. Yep. Now, what could I have done? What could I really have done to an entity? Pluck him out of the building? Maybe.
Yeah. I think
but
it's
it was just
important
the intent.
Yeah, you set your perimeters, right? You set what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. So it's really important that you're not, provocating. You're not, hit me, or come at me, come at me. That to me is not something I would do. To each his own. If
Uh-uh.
that's what you choose to do,
No.
not for me. My team doesn't do that either,
Mm-mm.
because be careful what you wish for. But setting your perimeters, what you're willing to take. There's been certain circumstances where an entity has pushed themselves on me, and I immediately went to, why would you do that? How dare you? And it was only trying to show me how it died or how it was injured,
Yeah.
or communicate with me, and I jumped to conclusions. So not every answer you get is necessarily out to get you. It's out to show you sometimes. And so it's really
All
important
right.
to kind of look back at the situation and see if it really, did you disrespect it? Did you push it too far and it's kind of reacting to you? Is it trying to intimidate you? Or perhaps maybe it's just, trying to give you answers. It's just not the way you think it's going to give you answers.
Yeah. I just would disagree completely with aggression for aggression. That's, an eye for an eye. That whole, no. No, but again, I have been very direct with, you are not allowed to touch any of my investigators. You are not
Yeah.
allowed to follow us home. You are not allowed. It's
Mhm.
again like admonishing a child.
Mhm.
That's really the way I look at it. It's almost like admonishing a child. But it's just how you handle it. You've got to be careful how you handle certain things. Michael said, Katie and Richard, is there any place that either of you would like to go? Yes, the flippin' UK.
A million places, a million places. I have a bucket list the size of Milwaukee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I do.
I,
There's,
I'm digging. I would like to go to Ireland or
yeah,
Scotland. Edinburgh tunnels is on my bucket list. Yes. Good question, Michael. I appreciate that, brother.
yeah. No, where would I go? Where would I go? Yes, UK for sure. There's a lot of places in the States I want to go to. Lots of places when we could go down there. Lots and lots of places I'm going to be going down. So
Now, Nikki said in another question, she said, being able to deal with some investigators that feel the constant need to provoke drives me nuts, honestly, and I don't believe in this necessity. Setting clear limits is important, but I wonder how to best approach folks that swear by it. I avoid these who do provoke. Just walk away. That's it. You avoid them. They're going to do, in my opinion, they're going to do what they do. You just don't have to be a party to it. If they're a
yeah,
member of
thank
your
you.
team and they get
Exactly.
stupid, as I call it, tell them, take it easy. Bye. Take
Yeah.
care of yourself. Go sit in a corner of some building by yourself and call it all kinds of names. I'm sure it'll get you really far. But yeah, no, you've got to separate yourself from that, because even if they're not doing it on the constant, that energy will change your entire dynamic in that investigation. And I believe, like my experience last night with the tour that was there, the energy there was so on point. Nothing missed a beat last night. And it was incredible. But that doesn't happen all the time. But if we had somebody, I think the question came up last night about provocation. I went, no. And anybody who's ever been on one of my tours, my spiel beforehand. If you provoke, I will ask you to stop once. Second time, I will exit you from the building. It's just how easy it works. It's not necessary. Here's the thing with provocation. I have never found it necessary. Ever. I've never found it necessary. I get more flies with honey 9 times out of 10, 9.999 times out of 10 than I ever will be a negative. So I don't get it. We have a lot. Yeah, the Cajun demonologist. You're right, Stephen. That was him. He's the one that had the heart attack. God bless him. He's back up and running, but yeah. Oh, okay. So Francine brings up the statement: a firm believer in afterlife and that we have guardian angels with us. However, can you explain when someone is killed, where is their guardian angel at that time? That's a good question. We actually ran into an entity last night that did not know he was dead. If a person is prepared, for example, and I've seen this with cancer patients, they are prepared. They know it's coming. They are prepared for that. So the guardian of the person helping them transfer over Okay, they have that opportunity. With quick deaths, I don't believe it happens that way at all. I think we all have guides to a point, but it depends on the extent of how much that guide is able to do. Yeah, as far as them transferring you over when if you were to commit suicide or if you were to die without knowing it, there's got to be a conscious belief that you're not here anymore.
Mhm.
That's my belief on it.
Yep.
That's my take on it. You know, you got to look out for that. That's why I have run across so many. It seems to me, and I'd love to get your take on it, Katie, but it seems to me that every former living being that I have ever come across that did not know they were dead were shocked to hear about it. So how would they have a guardian say, "Hey, you passed on"? They didn't know about it. I literally last night had to hold a eulogy last night over an entity that was gone and did not know he was gone. All right, that's a sad thing for an investigator. I'm sorry. When you experience something like that and you've got to deal with that for the person who's gone, that's rough. But I just don't believe that they have the time to be able to set up that connection with a guardian after they pass. They're not prepared for it. It happens like that. That's my belief. What do you think, Katie?
Agreed. In my experience, we all have guides and we all have angels. Guides are people who are done reincarnating. They no longer serve a purpose on a humanly form, but they help to guide us on our path. So when we reincarnate, going through life and going through all of these experiences, we are going through stages in terms of milestones in which we're supposed to meet on a spiritual journey. When we're done reincarnating, we help those that are still, being educated in terms of a spiritual journey. We help as guides. And so, we were people at once. And so we help these people and we help to guide them on their journey. Guides don't necessarily create miracles. It's angels that create miracles. Angels are the managers per se. So, in certain circumstances, a car accident and somebody's supposed to be able to walk away, but it's a catastrophic accident. It's the guide that contacts the angel that says, "Hey, we need a miracle here." And it's at that point that the miracles are made. Angels have never been human. Angels are different. They're different than human, but they're a higher vibrational being that does assist when needed. When you die and you're not conscious of that death, as Richard had mentioned, it's confusing. It's not something that you're used to. It's not something that you know about. People who died, during surgeries, people who have died for Alzheimer's and dementia or developmental delays, very fast traumatic accidents in war or car accidents, those types of things. That's confusing. And as Richard had mentioned, it's your conscious awareness that helps you to heighten your vibration to cross over to those other dimensions. So a lot of times entities will kind of stick to that low vibration. They can't even see the entity trying to help them cross over. And it is at that point that they make that choice. If they can't see it or they don't know, that they choose to kind of become that ghost. And oftentimes I refer to ghosts and spirits as two separate things. And quite honestly, they are. The spirit are those that have transitioned over and they come back for visits and to check up on you. But the ghosts are people who are in their present consciousness in life. So if I died as Katie, I'm only going to remember Katie's thoughts. We've talked about it many times where when you transition to the other side and you become a spirit, you're really not that person anymore. You're also the essence of many other people, but you remember that, as being part of your soul journey or your life, and you're able to come back. So does that mean that ghosts walk this earth and can never transition over? Absolutely not. They can transition. Sometimes they need help, as Richard had mentioned, that help with their assistance, that awakening, the conscious motivation to say, "Hey, you're not here anymore. You're no longer living. We want you to transition." And when that occurs, that's when that vibration changes. And sometimes they see that door. Sometimes they see the tunnel. Sometimes they see that boat that they want to get on and sail away on. And that's all it needs.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Devin Gordy is one of my boys. Says, so throughout the investigation last night, I would feel physical ailments, i.e. headaches, stomach pains, chest pains, and other physical ailments. Would these be direct reactions to entities, or could it be residual energies from the wounded in the hospital, or how can you tell the difference? You can't, and yes. The energy is going to be different in its approach Residual is just going to be there no matter what. That energy is trapped. That energy is a trapped piece of energy. Okay. But when you have something as intelligent as that building is, with probably 98% of the people in that building, they're intelligent as a haunting goes, they will do whatever they have to do to survive the energy. So they will go at your solar plexus. They will go and they will make you feel like you have chest pains. They will. We have a place in the Wright Hotel we used to call the heart attack room, because the person died in that room with a heart attack. Then every time you go in it for the first time, typically they would make you feel like you're having a heart attack. So there are just different ailments that they get, and then you just have sensitivities to it, which will make you feel everything you're talking about. But residual energy is still energy, and energy is energy. I mean, if you had an energy where someone that's residual, as I had one location, was constantly being stabbed to death multiple times every single day. Boom, 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 boom. That is a negative energy that is just being recycled through. You get caught up in it and you're liable to feel the effects of it. So yeah, all that energy is to a point the same. But the intelligent energy is where you're actually going to feel the differences, because they will find their ways to be able to get your energy from different parts of your body. Again, hence the reason why I say pre-med. Because it's not just going to be your stomach that gets affected. Could be a lot of things. Could give you a headache. Could make you ring in your ears. Could make you chest pains. Could give you stomach aches. Could give you back aches. It's wherever they can get the energy from. And there really isn't a whole lot of difference between them. What do you think about that, Katie?
Agreed. Yeah. Residual energy, you're going to feel it in one space.
Yeah.
Okay. You walk out, you walk back in. You walk out, you walk back in. You're going to feel it there. An intelligent attachment or energy feel, the symptoms, it may leave you. You may leave the location and it's still there 2 or 3 days later. Or you may end up having dreams and so on, that it kind of affects you that way. It's not necessarily about a physical feeling. It could be emotional too. Residual energy may make you want to cry when you walk into a room. It doesn't necessarily have to be intelligent.
Nope.
Usually with residual emotion, it's there until you remove yourself from the situation. With an intelligent, it's usually there, and then if you ask it to be removed, if you ask your body to kind of protect yourself that it needs to be removed, you'll be able to remove it, and you'll be able to. It's not going to be in the same place at the same time necessarily every time you walk into that room, right?
No.
It could follow you. We had an incident in one of the investigations we did that the energy was going from person to person to person to person. And it wasn't when they walked into a specific room, it's the entity was trying to show them how they died, and it was giving it to each investigator. That's not a residual energy. That's an intelligent energy.
Yeah. But again, the energy is the energy. So you have to be aware of that. It could be residual, it could be intelligent. Either way, it's going to be energy, and the energy needs to survive. So the energy will take from wherever it can to survive. It could be your camcorder batteries, could be your equipment batteries, could be you. You are a buffet of energy for an entity, and that's really what it comes down to. Your energy will be what gets sapped. You guys came home last night exhausted, zapped. Yep, that's what happened. You got in there and they just kind of just ate away at you. And then your body starts hurting and your head starts hurting and you ache. And, that's why people wake up sometimes from investigations and they feel like they've been in a fight with a bat. They feel like somebody's beating the life out of them with a bat because their body just got so beat up from energy being stripped from it. So that's just something to understand it. It won't matter where you're at and what you're engaging. It's going to be an energy pull. So it's going to be everything. Jen says, how can you learn how to read auras?
Auras. Well,
auras.
So let's explain auras a little bit. Auras are energy that your body puts on. Okay, so it's kind of like a mood ring for your body. So basically what happens is it's really important to practice with, practice with a person. You can practice with a pet. You can practice with, a friend. You can practice with nature. Nature gives off an aura as well. And basically, I'm dating myself. When I was a kid, there were these puzzles, these books that you could get that if you defocused your eyes, a 3D object would come out of these patterns, Okay. And you could see it clearly, but you had to defocus your eyes so you weren't staring at it. You were kind of letting your eyes go. The same thing occurs when you're witnessing auras. So that's why I encourage people to practice. You may not be able to pick up colors right away, but you'll be able to see the ambient energy around that entity. Now, it doesn't have to be a living being. Everything gives off energy. Computers, television, fridge, anything that's I mean, even a wooden dresser will give off energy. So don't think that you have to be staring at people or go to the mall and start people watching, because people might get freaked out. But practice with this stuff. If you can practice with a friend, try to make that person stationary, or practice with a tree and defocus your eyes, and you're going to start to see that energy field. Once you start to see the energy field and you get that really quickly, you're able to pick up that really quickly, then you're going to start to see colors, and they'll come in little shimmers. It's not like a rainbow beacon. You may see a little color here, a little color there, but you're going to start to pick it up. Once you get good at that, you'll start to see it clearer and clearer. There are actual cameras that can pick up auras. There's paranormal photography out there, and that's something that you're interested in getting your aura read or picture taken. Have a look, Google, make sure the person's reputable, that has a reputable camera, but those are options that you can have.
Awesome. Good stuff. Joshua said, do you ever get extremely emotional on an investigation? I have a few times. Yep. I have. My soft spot on investigation is dealing with children. And I don't know why. I think it's the fatherly instinct. I'm not sure. But I do remember the last time I got really emotional was on an investigation in a building where I had to cross over a young girl who was being attacked like every day. She was reliving that every day. And she was about 10. And I didn't care if somebody got pissed off at me or not. I crossed her over. Yeah. I just wasn't going to let her go through that anymore. It just wasn't anything a dad could sit back and watch.
No.
That got me very emotional. It did, because, again, Katie and I have explained this before. You don't go into this just for the thrill of it. I mean, there's a lot to research. You need to garner a relationship with whom you're dealing with to understand it better. But the challenge with it is that you could have a relationship, so to speak, with an entity and have that become somewhat personal. Mm-hmm. I have that with Kate Wright at the Wright Hotel, the lady who finally wound up saying, welcome home. She's an incredible, incredible lady. And she gets overrun a lot because there's a portal right on top of the property. So good, bad, and ugly comes through it. And she deals with that all the time. So, and I wouldn't have known any of that. I wouldn't have known anything about her background. I wouldn't have known anything about what transpires. Even the two friends that actually come into the hotel to visit her that are also no longer with us in this world. So, I mean, I would never have known any of that if I hadn't spent the time to be able to get a grip on the relationship of it, but that you will get emotionally attached, even if it's slightly. I believe if you do it right and you do it to a point where you're having that kind of cohesive communication, even, you've got to get somewhat attached. You've got to get somewhat thankful. You've got to get, you got to get passionate and compassionate at the same time. Mm-hmm. And to do that, you've got to have emotions. So if you go into a place and you go through a one-time gig and you have a blast and you kick out and you're done, good for you. That's what you want to do. I would much rather find an emotional attachment, a healthy one, to a person in a building or several people in the building. If you can have one of those and have it remain benign, to me, that's great. A couple of my better friends are dead. So, it's just something to look at. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten emotional on investigations before. Sorry, that was a long way to go about that answer, but yeah. Okay, know the difference between being a warrior and being a fighter? Absolutely, Billy. Billy Sims. Billy, you need to write a book, brother. Trying to find one. We got a lot. All right. So Nikki says, when constructing a team for a specific investigation, do you adjust the teams based on the type of investigation or the skill level of the investigators, or just free range it? Are there certain traits or personalities you simply do not want to have together during a possible negative energy type investigation? All right, I'm going to give you a quick answer. We'll let Katie take that after that. We both have run teams. All right. So I'm going to tell you the fastest way to find out how well it's going to work, go to dinner together before the investigation. You'd be surprised how fast personalities come out. And yes, you're going to need to, in my book, you're going to need to determine their skill level and not put them in something that's over their head.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Kitty?
Agreed. I'm really lucky though, because I have a pretty stellar team. Like really, the backbone of my team, like people that come in and out, but like I have nothing to complain about. We're tight, so everybody knows how each other reacts. I'm pretty spoiled that way, right? So I don't ever have to go, well, I don't think that person should be with that person, that person, that person. We all just kind of jive. We're really lucky, like really, truly. So there's nobody babysitting. There's nobody, if somebody's not comfortable with something, then one of the other team members will be like, yep, I'll do it. Or, we all have our niches, if that's what you want to call it, but I'm pretty lucky that way. Are there circumstances where I would never want one of my investigators to go in alone? Yeah, there are. Are there circumstances that I think one investigator may be better communicating with other piece of equipment or in a certain scenario? Yeah, for sure. When going into an investigation, sometimes one of our investigators will be flagged or marked or a person of interest. Will we utilize that person? Absolutely. So if somebody has some sort of kindredship with one of the investigators, then we're going to use that to our advantage and try and let that investigator communicate with that entity, right? It just depends. Every scenario is different.
And then Chris says, do you investigate to the witching hour or end much earlier? I'm not a big proponent of the witching hour. I have been in the middle of lunch doing a walkthrough in the house and caught evidence like you would not believe. So I'm not a big proponent of the ideal of witching hour, but yeah, I mean, I'll start early enough and before 3. I don't do the whole 12-hour slamming into the wall. We walk out of there like we're the Walking Dead. I don't want to do that anymore. So we'll go in, we'll investigate 5, 6, 7 hours. We're done. If you cannot capture enough evidence to make yourself happy in 6, 7 hours, you're in the wrong place. You're just in the wrong place. That's just my take on it. Michael says, how do you know if an entity is male or female?
Good question. For me, as a psychic medium, walking into a location and picking up on the feel, how I feel, when I'm picking up the energy, does it feel female? Does it feel male? Not every little girl's a little girl. Not every woman is a woman. Not every man's a man. Sometimes entities will show themselves as animals, or they'll show themselves as different forms of people. So do you ever really know? You don't.
No. I have had many an entity, when you ask for a kid, you're going to get a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a kid, but you're going to get them. Hellsbar Dam is one of them. There was a big thing for years about Mary's Corner. And you get people go, Mary, you here? Guess what? Mary's going to be there. Mm-hmm. It might not look like Mary on the other side of the fence, but you're going to get Mary. It's just the way they draw you in and get attracted to you. You got to be careful. The dead are sometimes just as deceitful as the living. Got to be careful. Nikki says, have you got to the point that you feel you have gone too far? How best can you withdraw without harming yourself or others in the process when you hit that oh shit moment? Okay, so I'm wondering if you talk about when the event happens, like a dramatic paranormal event happens. I'm assuming, Nikki, is what you're talking about. How do you handle it? everybody just leaves. Hey guys, let's step on outside. That's how I handle it. Everybody, let's go outside for a minute, take a breath. Smoke them if you got them. Yep. You've got to find a way to very quickly put a halt to it and step away from the activity, because that'll be the fastest way to separate yourself from what's going on. Step outside, disengage. And that's not easy for a lot of, I want to stay in here and fight. No, you don't. No, you want to step outside. And if you haven't smoked yet, you might want to start now. You never know. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah, Joshua says provocation is bad. Provocation is very bad. Let me see here. Lord, we got a lot. Who are
Tara
some
said,
of your favorite?
oh,
Go ahead. What?
I was going to say, Tara said a loved one is leaving you dimes. Do they get the energy to do that from you? Yes and no. Yes. Do they have the energy? Is your energy involved to give you the sign? Absolutely. Yes. Did they manifest it? Yes, they did. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you have to understand again that it took energy to make that whole thing happen. Yeah. So Christy says, what are some of your favorite investigators to watch? How do I go down this road without
PG.
somebody
PG.
I'll tell you who I enjoy watching. I like Dave Schrader. I like Dave. I've got a buddy of mine, Shane Pittman. I like Shane. Okay.
Shane's been on the show. Yep.
Shane's been on the show. Shane and I did a small project together. It was a good project. He's a great guy. He's very big on we're not going to fake a damn thing. And that's one of the major reasons why him and I will always get along. It can't always be about theatrics, because then you become a soap opera. So, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. At least show it. But I don't have many. I have probably 3 or 4 that I like to watch do their thing. Then there are some that I just kind of look at and go, nice investigation location, click. I'm good. Or if I want to have a good laugh, I'll watch a couple of them and watch how they do this. And yeah.
So I can honestly say the people that have been part of our show, we've invited a lot of guests and had special, some of them are co-hosts that have been part of television shows. And, I have to say, I absolutely love them. If I didn't have respect for them, I wouldn't want them on our show. And Tim Shaw, wonderful. I can't even name every one of them because they've all been amazing. Every person, if you want to know who I love, then go back and watch the previous episodes, because truly, those are the people that I have the highest respect for. Anybody I haven't met yet, in person or had on the show yet, definitely Dave Schrader for sure. Who else would I have? Well, Shane was on the show. I've met Shane. I've had the pleasure of meeting quite a few investigators. So, I can't say I have one favorite. I have a respect for a lot of them.
A lot of them. Love. And honestly, and we're not bragging, but here's the thing. If they've been on this show, it's because, again, as Katie said, we have a level of respect for what they do and how they do it. Is the reason why they're here to represent the show as a special guest host. I'm not bringing on scrubs. I don't want no scrubs. Sorry. I'm not. I had to. Sorry about that. But it's, just for me, it's just not, we're not going to bring on people here that we feel have lied to you on the shows anywhere. We're not going to do that because we wouldn't want our reputation mixed in with that. So we don't. Yeah, Tim Shore, great guy. Jeremy Leonard's been a guest on this show before as a guest host. Great guy. Shane Pittman, great guest. We've had Bishop James Long, great guest. So these are the kind of people, if you want to ask us who we run through as the people that I would love to investigate every one of them. I think they're great, personally.
Yep. Linda's an amazing investigator. She's on Paranormal Survivor with me. Yeah.
Yep.
We've had so many.
We've had a lot, actually. What Wow, we've got so many. So you guys are great, by the way.
Um,
Just so cool.
So Billy says stronger entities will, with ill will, can hold other entities hostage and tend to call them generals. Yes. So I've conducted many investigations where all of a sudden you're having a great EVP or spirit box session, and all of a sudden you're, shh, he's coming, shh, stop, shh, he's coming, no, run, we got, and it's like, who's coming? Do I run? Like, what's happening? And it comes down to a domineering entity or the entity that runs the show at said location that either doesn't like what's going on, doesn't like the communication, and is kind of holding those other entities hostage. And sometimes it prevents them from crossing over. There's some sort of tetherment that's occurred, and they're not able to transition. So yes, absolutely agreed, it does happen.
Mm-hmm. No, it truly does. Nikki says using animals during an investigation. How do you feel about that? I have had a couple of dogs. I didn't really utilize them as investigators, but whoa, were they sensitive. The problem with having animals on investigations, in all frankness, they get leery, they get weary, they react differently. They can't exactly tell you what the energy is they're barking away from or backing away. They can't tell you.
Right.
They can tell you something's there, but they can't tell you what it is. But they can tell you something's there. Cats and dogs both. I've had some really incredible interactions with dogs and the dead. But I don't know if I would use them in an investigation personally.
Right.
I just don't. Gosh, we're about out of time already. Holy mackerel.
So
That's
Nikki says,
crazy.
Katie, have you ever received a vision or strong feeling prior to an investigation and question yourself in really wanting to proceed? Yes. Absolutely, I have. Yes. There's been times where I did not listen to my gut and regretted it.
Yeah.
Yes, there are times. Yeah. And there's also been a strong pull. So I like to use my gut feeling, my intuition to take me to certain places in the location. And sometimes if I've been told, don't go in that room, and I go in that room, it's not exactly what I was looking for. So it doesn't even mean about before the investigation. A lot of times I ask spirit, before a reading, before an investigation, what things do I need to know? I ask my guides to protect me. Are there anything that I need to be aware of? My team members, are we safe? And if I get some weird juju going on or vibes, then I definitely listen to it. Ask me how I know, because I learned the hard way.
Sorry, I'm just trying to read through. So we've got so many responses. It's crazy. Don't quit my day job, Richard. What?
Have you ever felt that for those popular sites like Waverly Hills or have become oversaturated? I'd love to find those off the grid places, then selfishly want to keep them private. Yes. So we talked about this a little bit last week. Some places are oversaturated. Some places have entities that never originated there. They were brought in by people going into the location. They were conjured. They were developed. They're overused. And some of these entities are cynical as hell, and they're sick and tired of having to jump like a circus, monkey at a circus. Yes, going off the beaten path is not a bad thing. The only thing with going off the beaten path is that if you're an amateur investigator, if you're somebody who is new at this and you don't know the signs and symptoms, that can potentially be dangerous. I would encourage you to go to benign locations, as Richard has mentioned many times. Go to these safe haunted locations that you can, get your bearings, understand the equipment, understand what your body's telling you. After you get that done a few times and you're used to that, then maybe go off the beaten path. But no, I encourage that all the time. You don't always have to stick to what the mainstream says you should.
Very true. I didn't realize I remembered even saying to you guys. Sorry about that, Stephanie. I was like, oh, my day job. Now I understand. She said I sang to him. I don't remember singing. Did I sing?
I believe you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Penny says, great show. Thank you very much. For us, yeah, it's great to have you guys, in the fold with us. And again, as I've said, multiple times. I've been doing this a long time in these podcasts, and I'm here to tell you, we do it for you guys. We definitely don't do it for the money.
No
That
money.
for sure. I mean, but it's to us, it's just fun, and it's an opportunity to get to, to get to talk to you guys, and it's great to be able to do that. Now, Nikki says, "Why does the time always go by so fast in this show? Seems to be in hyperdrive." Do you remember, Nikki, when it was only an hour? Hyperdrive. I mean, we were at warp 10 on an hour. We were blown through an hour like it was a joke.
Yep.
And Joshua says a very, very important thing. He says the most important tool you have is yourself. And absolutely right. I'm a very big proponent of sit down and shut up. Very big proponent of it. Sit down and give the entities and the energy in the building a chance to talk to you. Give them a chance to collect around you. Give them a chance. I learned how to do something years ago, which was really odd, I think. I call it mapping. I can be in a room and then close my eyes, and I literally can point out where the entities are in the room. And you can feel that energy. And the only way that you can do that is by sitting down and shut up. So you can feel where the energies are coming from. You crinkle your eyebrow at that whole shut up thing. Is that?
Yes.
You do? Why? You don't believe in that?
I totally believe in that. I just wouldn't use those words.
Okay, sit down and be quiet. Is that better? Yeah. No, I'm not from Canada. I don't say please. I also don't say I'm sorry all the time either. But I love you guys for that because I can't do it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Chris, appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's been a weird week, guys. Yeah. Well, Tamara says, have a good week to both of you. Thank you. Grandkids made it hard today, but I love listening to you both. Thank you very much. Ellen, thank you very much. Tamara, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys so much. You guys mean the world to us in this show, and it's it's really just important that we get the information out, and that's what we love to do with you guys. You guys can pass the show along. All you have to do is learn also how to like it, share it, like it, and other people who might need to hear this information can hear it. What's the pain there, right? But we will see you guys next week. I think next week. Next week's Easter. Or is it? No. Yes. No. Okay.
What day is it today? Where am I? What's your name?
I don't know. I've got kids, and it's like that's the whole Easter thing. So I don't know. Just give me the chocolate bunny and leave me alone. That's how I feel about it. Just give me the chocolate rabbit and leave me alone. Guys, we appreciate you very much. We sincerely appreciate you coming out. And again, if you have a show topic, you can reach out to us on the Let's Talk About It Facebook page. Each and every one of us here on Facebook. Reach out to us there as well if you'd like, or instead of, doesn't matter. We'd love to be able to have the opportunity to be able to put a topic together and talk about it with you, represent it as best we can and explain it as best we can. That's what we do, because we are a big believer in let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. All right, guys, be good to yourselves. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.